Born during the reign of Queen Victoria, Charles Spencer Chaplin now seems peculiarly modern. He became the first international movie star, celebrated around the world for his portrayal of the little fellow, a universal victim. But his sense of his own identity was as uncertain as the lineage of his character. For much of his life, he claimed that he had been born in a hotel in Fontainebleau, France, and that his older half-brother Sidney had been born in South Africa. He often told friends that he was far from sure that his mother's husband, Charles Chaplin Sr., was his biological father. At times he thought his real father might have been Jewish or even African American. He was undoubtedly at least 1/4 Romany or Gypsy, a heritage he sometimes denied and at other times took pride in. He was unsure, or pretended to be, of his mother's maiden name. Chaplin rose from the marginal classes of the South London slums, a stratum of society among whom family history was not a source of pride, but a catalogue of humiliations and tragedies to be glossed over with invention when they couldn't actually be forgotten. As he himself put it, to gauge the morals of our family by commonplace standards would be as erroneous as putting a thermometer in boiling water. As long as the facts remained mere bubbles, evaporating from the seething cauldron of the past, moral judgments were irrelevant. In his 60s, when he was working on his autobiography, Chaplin decided that the time had come to set the record straight. He paid a visit to the Central Registry Office of Vital Statistics in London, but his search for a birth certificate was unsuccessful. "I went to Somerset House, on the Thames," he told a much younger acquaintance, "and there is no Charles Chaplin." Nor did he find any records of his mother's family. They were nothing. Nothing. Nothing! Thanks to Chaplin's dedicated admirers in Britain, many, though by no means all, of the mysteries surrounding his early life have been resolved. His mother was born Hannah Harriet Pedlingham Hill on August 6, 1865, the daughter of a shoemaker, and grew up in Walworth, a working-class district of South London. Hannah's mother, one Mary Ann Hill, had married her first husband, a sign painter named Henry Hodges, when she was about 15. They had one son, also called Henry. The elder Henry Hodges died in a fall from a horse-drawn omnibus, leaving Mary Ann a widow at 34. In 1861, she married Charles Hill, and the couple had 2 daughters, Hannah and Kate. Mary Ann and young Henry worked side by side with Charles Hill as he plied his trade, but they never prospered. Hill suffered from rheumatism, and very likely he drank. He seems never to have had his own shop, and the family moved every year or two, occupying a series of cheap rented flats. Chaplin described his maternal grandfather as a good old Irish Mick, with a shock of snow-white hair, who hailed from County Cork. He had been told that Grandfather Hill was somehow involved in the assassination of Lord Frederick Cavendish, but this is unlikely since Cavendish, the nephew of Prime Minister William Ewart Gladstone, was not murdered until 1882, long after Charles Hill took up residence in London. Whether or not he had revolutionary sentiments, Hill does seem to have been a combative sort. He quarreled with both his daughters and eventually turned his wife out of his house, allegedly because he caught her in bed with another man. Hannah Hill was 18 when she escaped from this grim environment. She later told her children that she eloped with the son of an English lord and married him in South Africa, where she lived on a plantation waited on by legions of servants, and gave birth to her first son called Sidney John. In fact, her lover's name was Sidney Hawks or something similar, and another version of the family story identifies him as a Jewish bookmaker. Jewish or not, Hawks was hardly the son of a lord, although there is some reason to suspect that he may have been the black sheep heir of a well-to-do family. Hannah often spoke of a legacy that was supposed to come to her son after Hawks' death. Hannah and Sidney Hawks were never married, and by the time she gave birth on March 16, 1885, the relationship had ended. Sidney John, hereafter known as Sidney, the spelling he used later in life, was born at the home of Joseph Hodges, who was the uncle of Hannah's half-brother Henry. It is possible that Hannah had then already met Charles Chaplin, a 22-year-old singer, whom she would marry on June 22nd when her baby was just 14 weeks old.
To keep listening to this audiobook for free, click the link in the description. It will take you to a free Audible trial where you can listen to this and many other books for free for 30 days.